In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of research tools that I use and just how I go about doing some of my research and looking for uh, dividend stocks that I want to use in my portfolio. MarketBeat is a tool I use. It's just a free website. I guess they have a paid account, but I just use the free portion of their website. It's just a good way to do research. Let me just show you the function I use the most here. Is if you look on their financial calendars, you see a whole bunch of different kinds of calendars, but we're looking especially for dividends. So under dividends, we've got an ex-dividend calendar, and that's what I use. Now, I guess I need to explain a little bit about ex-dividend date. Don't want that. Alright, so what an ex-dividend date is basically when a stock, there's a declare date. So there's a date where a stock declares how much dividend it's going to pay, and it tells you when it's going to pay it, and it tells you, it sets what's called an ex-dividend date. And what the ex-dividend date is the date that if you own that stock when the market opens on the ex-dividend date, you get the dividends, and if you hold it till the end of the ex-dividend date, so if you've owned that stock for that day, then you're the person that gets the dividends on how many shares you own that day. So people will purchase stocks the day before the ex-dividend date, and then like I used to do, they'd watch the price or the value of the stock. When the value of the stock comes back up, they'd sell the stock, and then there's a pay date that tells you when they're going to actually pay the dividend. So sometimes the pay date is actually a month later than the ex-dividend date. But once you have held the stock for the ex-dividend date, then you're the guy that's going to get those dividends. So anyway, that's what we're looking at here, is an ex-dividend calendar. And this is looking at the week of 8/21. So here, this shows you every stock that had an ex-dividend date on the week of 8/21. And you can see what it shows. Well, of course, I'm looking for yield. How much yield am I going to get out of this stock? So if you tap yield once, it puts it lowest to highest. I'm looking for highest to lowest. So now I'm looking at the highest yields are on top. So here's a stock. I used to invest in this stock. It's one of those that just pays quarterly, and they get a pretty decent dividend, 26.3% dividend. And so anyway, MarketBeat's just a way to look at stocks that pay good dividends. So here's a monthly 13.3%. So as you already know, I'm not interested in anything that's less than 18%, so that won't interest me. So let's look at next week. If we look at next week, if I can get it to work, here we go. So we'll look at the 28th. So now it's bringing in stocks that are going to have ex-dividend date next week. So if I hit yield and then hit it again, so now I'm looking at stocks. Now here is a quarterly or a monthly stock, ORC, 20.25%. It goes ex-dividend next week. Of course, ORC, if you look at the list, it's one of my stocks. I'm already invested in ORC. We have another one here, PVL, that actually isn't on my list. It's a new one for me. So I may want to investigate PVL. If it's a good one, I may want to add it to my portfolio and start putting some money into it. It shows 18.1%. Now, word of caution, you can't always trust this percentage. It's a good close random amount, or close to the real thing, but I always divide it out to be sure. And the way you do that is you have to divide the amount of dividend it's paying per share, and you divide that into the cost per share, and that shows you the percentage. And sometimes this number, I don't know why their system just doesn't update this number accurately, so I always do the math myself. And you can go look at ORC if you want to go, for example, just look at ORC. I can go over here and right click. Now you don't see it on your screen, but on the web screen it actually has given me the option to open that link. Well, I'm just going to click on it, and that was okay. So now we're looking at ORC, and we're looking at dividend yield and history, which is what we want. So if I scroll down, well, first of all, I can look and see what it's selling for. Right now, the sales price of ORC is $9.50. So I can look and see what it's paying on dividend and divide that by $9.50. It's paying 16 cents dividend. So you divide that out by $9.50, and you see what your actual percentage is. They say it's 20.25%. So I'm just going to bring up a calculator over here, off screen where you're not actually going to see it, but I'm going to do the math just out of curiosity. So if I do 0.16 divided by 950, that's 0.016842. So I want to multiply, it's a monthly dividend, so I'll multiply that by 12 to see what the annual rate is. So I multiply that by 12, and now I get a 20.21. So they're close. They say 20.25. My calculator says 20.21. So you can pretty much depend on these numbers. Sometimes I find them to be off a lot more than that, but that's how you determine what the real yield is. And if just while we have it up here, you can see that for this year, for at least since March, it's been paying a 16-cent a share dividend. So it's been pretty stable for the last several months, and that makes me feel good to know that it's been consistently paying that dividend for a while. So then if I go back to where we were and do my double click again to get the high paying ones at the top. When you go back to that, it always goes back to the previous to the current week. So let me move to the next week. So we're looking now at 2 weeks down the road, and let's just see what we got there. So say we don't have anything of real high value. You got a monthly, it's 15.2%, but and actually ECC is one of my stocks. And they're only showing 14 cents per share, and they're actually paying 14% or 14 cents per share monthly, but every month for the last several months they've also paid what they call a special dividend of another 2 cents per share. I don't know why, for whatever reason, this market beat doesn't pick that up. There's other sites that I use. Market Beat's my favorite because I just like the layout of Market Beat. But there's other stocks where you can go look at ex-dividend dates for different stocks. You can just do a Google search on an ex-dividend date of ECC, and there'll be several different websites like MarketBeat that'll come up and show you, and these other websites will show you that it actually not only does it pay 14 cents, but it also pays another 2 cents or 16 cents a month. Well, if you put it to the calculator with 16 cents, then that yield comes up to above my 18%. That's why I have ECC in my portfolio. If they ever quit paying that special dividend, that 2 cents, then I may have to evaluate whether I want to keep ECC or whether I want to move my money over into one that pays a higher dividend. But so far, for the last few months, they've been paying that extra 2 cents per share. So as long as they keep doing that, I'll just keep my money there. So anyway, this is a nice tool, MarketBeat. Just one of their other financial calendars that I use sometime is this one, monthly dividend stock. So you can go look at their monthly dividend calendar and get an idea of what stocks. And again, you do the double click and it'll put the higher ones on top. So here's my USOI, which is one of mine, my ORC, which is one of mine, ARR is one of mine, OXLC is one of mine, ECC is one of mine. Almost all of mine are showing up in this list, but I notice there's at least one of mine, maybe two. Yeah, there's two of mine that aren't in this list. So you can't always depend on MarketBeat. I like the layout. Its format's nice and easy to work with, but I find that there are other sites that give you a little bit more accurate. So sometimes I go and search for monthly dividend stocks on Google and look at some of these other websites that show you results, because you find some. It's just like that one I looked at a minute ago. I've already forgotten what it was now, but it was, I go back to ex-dividend calendar, and it was one for next week. And do my double click. And PVL. Yeah, so it says 18%. So after I get through with this video, I need to go check out PVL and see if it's something I want to consider adding to my portfolio. So you see, that's how I use MarketBeat. It's just a convenient tool for checking out what are good stocks to purchase. Right now I've landed on my 6 and I'm pretty happy with, but I'm always looking, because the more you spread, the more diversified you are, if you just spread your money out a little bit better, so that if one stock kind of takes a hit, it doesn't impact your portfolio as much. So MarketBeat's just a good tool for that. Okay, so the next tool I want to show is one I use on my phone. I use it on my Android phone. I think they've got an app also for Apple. I'm not sure. I'm not an Apple user, but for the Android phone, it's called Div Tracker. So if you look here, you see the name Div Tracker. That's what it's called if you go to the Google Play Store. And there are more than one app in the Google Play Store that are named Div Tracker. So you want to look for the one that has this logo, the green background with the white palm tree and the bar chart. This is the one I use. I've used several of these, and I find this one to be so far the best I've found. I'm just going to show you a couple of screenshots so you can get an idea of how this thing works. When you look at your home screen, it shows you how much monthly dividend you're bringing in according to what you've got invested, and it shows you what your basically I set a goal of $1,000 a month, and this is saying I'm at 756, but I'm really not at 756 because I've still got a couple of my quarterly stocks in here, and so that includes the dividends on them for the next year. So if I take that out, I'll be to my $600 or so for a year on what I've got as my monthly stocks. I don't pay attention to this number as much, but it does give you a nice overall, showing you what your average dividend yield is for the stocks you hold. And because I've got those higher paying quarterly stocks in here, it's kind of given an inflated view of my dividends, because that includes those higher paying quarterly stocks, which I'm not going to hang on to. So anyway, that's the opening page, and then the thing that's really valuable that I use, and I need to back up and explain when you go in, you can you go into the app, and it shows of course you don't have a portfolio yet, so you go in and tell it what stocks you have. But actually you just go in and say, I want to purchase this stock, X number of shares, I paid so much per share, and it'll calculate the value. And it's connected to thousands of different websites that bring all this stock information in, so it keeps up and tracks all this stuff for you. So anyway, once you put in how many shares and what you paid per share, it'll tell you the value according to the current market. It'll tell you what your dividends that are declared are going to be. So anyway, you build your portfolio by making a purchase on everything that you've got in your portfolio. And then if later, let's say I wanted to put more money into ECC, for example, I can go in and tell it, okay, I've just purchased $600 worth of ECC, but you don't enter it that way. You have to look and see how many shares, look on M1, see how many shares you actually purchased and how much you paid per share, and then it'll tell you what the value of that is, and it'll add it to your ECC that's already in your portfolio. So it's easy to keep your portfolio up to date. But the thing that's nice is this monthly screen here. So it's just got the 10th highlighted in green because, well, I'm not sure why it's got the 10th highlighted. That's just what I had selected on my phone that day. It typically highlights today's date. Or maybe the day I did this originally was the 10th, but now we're up to the 23rd or so. But what I've highlighted in black is what it's showing below down here. So you see these little gold dots and these little green dots. Well, what the gold dot is an ex-dividend date. So on the 10th there was an ex-dividend for something. On the 11th there was an ex-dividend for something. You click on that date and it'll show you what the ex-dividend was for that date. And I chose the 21st because it had a gold and a green, and that way I can show you both on the same screen. So basically on the 21st, that was the ex-dividend date for USOI, and according to how many shares I own, it was going to be $151.55 dividend that was going to get paid later in the month. And it shows you down here the payout date is, well, I just realized you can't see that. Let me scroll this down so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so down here the actual payout date for USOI is August 25th. So the ex-dividend date was the 21st. The payout date was August 25th. Their payout date's pretty close to the ex-dividend date. Most stocks are a couple of weeks out, sometimes a month out. All right, so that's what the little gold things show you, and the little green things show you the actual dividends that are going to get paid that day. So on the 21st, I got a dividend on UAN, which is one of my quarterly stocks that I am still holding. I got a dividend of $46.94 on that on the 21st, and it's showing you that the ex-dividend date for that was August 11th, but it paid on August 21st. So you can click on any day on the calendar when you got this app up on your phone, and it'll show you what your dividends are for that day, what your ex-dividend is for that day. So it's just a nice quick way to go in, get an overview of all your stocks and what dividends are paying. It's a really easy way to keep up, so you can go look, say, oh, I wonder how many dividends I'm getting today, or when my next dividends are coming in. And today happens to be the 23rd, so I can, if I had this up on my phone, I could tap on the 25th and it would show what dividends are going to be paid to me on the 25th down here in this window below. So it's just a really nice app for keeping up and tracking your dividends and when they're coming in. I probably use this app as more than anything else because it's handy. It's on my phone. I can just pop in there and see where my accounts stand, and I just find it to be very, very informative and useful. So it might be something you would enjoy using also. So thanks for watching this video. Again, if you decide you want to use M1, please use my link in the description below, and I'll also leave a link at the end here to my playlist, and you can click that to get back to the playlist so you can watch other videos that I've made in my dividend investing playlist.